Was there any type of Mustang population or groups of Mustangs in the area, and did the farmers use them to their advantage, or were they more of a nuisance back then? Kind of, what was the story with the Mustangs back then in those days?
When we're talking about the pure Mustangs, in my era, the things that I can remember as boyhood in the 20s, you see, I was born in 21 and was riding every day, and then 28 and 29 and 30s, and in that time there weren't many Mustangs in western South Dakota. There's probably some part Mustangs because mainly feral horses, you know. I do know that I heard my father telling stories, and this would have been before, probably in 1918, that the wild horses, and probably there were some Mustangs among them, on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, and they got so numerous that they were eating all the grass. And John O'Rourke, who was a big rancher on Pine Ridge, he decided to have a horse roundup. So he got all the ranchers in the whole country to come, and they gathered 2,000 in 2 days and took them to the railroad and shipped them.
The one thing I'd like to cover with you, Craig, before we get out of here is the spins. This Mustang, he's a little weak on his spins, and I've been working on it for a little while, but not consistently. And if there's anybody that can help me out, I know it's you. Would you mind helping me with this guy?
I'd be glad to.
Absolutely. All right.
Yeah.
Let's go.
All right. Okay. Now, Steve, what I would do is, you know, given the exercise like I demonstrated about loping and steering and trotting and just moving the horse around, the spin actually is the ultimate steering exercise. It's about front feet around the back feet. And so I come up with a little exercise that I teach all my horses that first puts into the horse's mind the idea that we are going to the right or we are going to the left. You know, they've got to be able to not only go right and go left physically, but they have to do it mentally as well. So this little exercise can take 15, 20 minutes, might take a while, you know, but I just want to show you this exercise because given what you told me about your horse, it sounds like he's just not terribly focused, which is causing his feet to feel heavy.
Correct.
All right?
So the first thing we're going to do is start with the conformer, and we want to utilize that to get a head shape on Steve. So what you see right here, these two red marks right here in the front corners of his head, he's been wearing a manufactured hat which has a regular oval in it. And as you saw earlier, nobody's head is just regular oval, or very few anyway. So this will allow us to build Steve a hat that contours his head and will eliminate the pressure points that he has right now and allow that hat to stay on a little bit better. So what we do, take the conformer, we slit a piece of paper right in the top, and we're going to start down on Steve's head and just kind of ease it down there until we get to the right
wide
point.
enough.
Yep. So now that we've got it down here where he wears his hat, does that feel right, Steve?
A little bit more forward this way, about right there.
Perfect. So then we'll drop the hammer here on the top and squeeze that and lift it right back off.
Okay, basically our next procedure that we're going to go into and do is we're going to do a Coggins test on this horse, and we're going to give him his springtime vaccinations.
Okay. I got a question about Coggins. Coggins is not the name of the virus that actually the horse has, but the Coggins is the name of the test. Tell us a little bit about the test and the actual virus.
Well, the test it's a screening test. It's a blood test, and it tests for equine infectious anemia of horses. And it's actually, I believe the name of the virus, it's a retrovirus.
Okay. Now, if a horse has this, what happens?
Well, you don't have very many options. A lot of people opt to go ahead and put them down, and then there is the state actually comes in. You know, once a horse is identified as being positive, state comes in, and they take over after that.
Yeah.
And you have a couple different options. They can either go to a killer market, they can be put down, or they can be isolated. I believe it's 500 feet from any other horse.
Okay. And this is something that pretty much every horse has to have, especially if you're going to go on any new facility or to an event, because it's something that's required pretty much everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, how do you get it from the horse?
Basically, what I'm going to do is just going to draw some blood from him.
Okay, let's do it.
There, close. So basically, we're just going to draw some blood, and there's lots of techniques to doing this, but I've been doing this for a while, and this is a technique that works good for me, and I'll show it to you. You know, if you know where something lives, most of the time you can find it, and the jugular vein lives in the jugular groove. So we're going to hold it off basically like that, and give it a little pump, and you can actually see it moving. And then we're going to stick it just like that. And I use my finger as a guide to go ahead and get my blood. And then pull it out, give them a little rub, and I have my blood.
Another exercise that I like to do once I've gotten control of my horse and the 5 body parts broken down, soft, supple, and independent of one another, are counter bends. I find counter bends really help me out whenever I start to do my lead departures, lead changes, and other things. And what a counter bend simply is whenever you start to get a little bit of forward impulsion, you're going to tip the horse's nose to the left here, but you're going to make his body go to the right. So it looks kind of like this: nose to the left, body to the right. And what I'm doing here is I'm using lateral flexion and shoulder control right here. Do it to the right, pick up, do it to the left, and I'll start to do this at the walk. Once he gets pretty good at it, you can go ahead and bump your horse up and get them to where he does it at the trot. Hey Mark, I noticed some tack that I'm familiar with. These are more the traditional cowboys. You got your snaffle, your correction bits, and other thing. But over here, I see some of the more the vaquero style. You've got your bozalitas, and then you've got your spade bits. Can you tell us a little bit about your spade bits, the bozalitas, and how they differ from these and how they're used?
Okay, so the vaqueros would use a hackamore to start their colts, and so we would start off with something that's about this size, which is a 1/2 inch or slightly bigger, a 5/8 or 3/4 to start their colt in. And it is the first item that they start getting used to being a lever. Now, this is a lever because it has more weight below the hanger than above it. So a little bit of action here causes a lot more action here. So it's a lever, but it doesn't have any leverage because there's no chin curb. And so it is a lever which helps them learn about how a lever works, but there's no leverage, so you can't really overpower the horse, and it's still a 1-to-1 ratio when you pick it up.
So whenever you use this, is this more still kind of direct rein, so to speak?
Right, right. This is a two-hand system where you're still helping the horse. Now, what you're going to do is as the horse goes, you're going to be able to pick up this rein, and this is horsehair here, so it'll kind of tickle the horse on his neck a little bit, and it'll help him. He'll feel this rein first, and then he will feel this rein next. So he'll feel the rein on his neck to help him turn. If he doesn't, then you'll pick up on this direct rein, tip his nose, and help him go.
If there's ever been a monument to commemorate the Mustang and those who love the Mustang, this would have to be it. This is the Fence of Fame here at Freedom Trails Ranch. Here to tell us more about this fence is Ann Souders. To those of us who know and love her, here's Mustang Annie.
How many years have I been collecting the boots on the fence? I started after '09, and Jim and I did the makeover in '08, and in '09 was my first year to be the vendor coordinator for Mustang Heritage Foundation and all the makeovers. And I've always collected boots for years. My house is full of boots. I like boots. I have a lot of boots, and indoors and out. And so as we were putting the fencing up and Jim was putting cedar stays in, I just thought, Boot Scootin' Annie. The reason I wanted to mainly use the Mustang family for the Fence of Fame is because we are family, and I know their hearts, and we're branded together, and that's priceless. And we don't have to worry about a Fence of Shame when we have the Fence of Fame, see? So I know how people are with the Mustangs and how they've changed their lives. And I've always told Evelyn Gregory, I'm not really sure who's saving who here, and that all centers around the Mustang family.